The Age of Fire continues with the release of the Fire Kings in the Master Duel being a standalone competitor as well as a huge buff to many different fire decks that were already competing for the top spot. The deck brings a level of power and explosiveness to many decks that they naturally don't have. The level of recursion that it offers is insane, and there are a lot of new combo routes that a lot of decks are taking advantage of, but none more so than Snake Eye. Using the destruction and rebirth effects of the Guardian X cards, using their Kirin to pop their own monsters on the field to dodge the likes of Imperm and Effect Veiler, and using things such as your Ponix and your Field Spell in order to continue to recur cards, search your deck for cards, and follow up with additional negates in the form of Arvata. There really is nothing more this deck could ask for. With the legendary Fire King Ponix now as your centralized level 1 fire target off of original Simple Spoils, being able to grab Fire King Sanctuary, as well as of course the field spell through Sanctuary, means that your Fire King combos are almost always live. You can basically pop any monster to get the whole thing going, and honestly, this deck plays a lot more like a Fire King deck than it does a Snake Eyes deck. It's a really nice, smooth combination between the two. We played this exact list on stream in the qualifiers, and we went from D-level 12 to 17 in a few hours, and we lost maybe 3 games that entire stream. This deck is exceptionally powerful. So in this video, we're going to be showing off a 1-card combo using Snake Eye Ash, or any way to get to it, that leads to a pretty powerful board interweaving the two. There are more combos you could do with this deck, of course, but I don't want to make this video too long because I also want to fit in some replays towards the end to show the deck in action. So if you want to see more videos on this deck or anything else, perhaps going into even more combos and a little bit more depth or just more gameplay in general, you can of course subscribe to catch more videos as they come out, and our live streams where we play a variety of different decks live in ranked or in specialized events. And you can like this video to help it get to even more people, but I'm not going to waste your time here at the start. Let's get right in to the 1-card combo. Now, long-term viewers of the channel may know, as well as those who tune into our live streams, y'all know that I'm not really a fan of people sort of looking at combo tutorials and just playing off of that and learning how to play the game in such a rigid manner. I feel like looking at a hand like this, there are so many possibilities and ways in which you can play through and around Interruption that can only be learned through playing the deck yourself or watching composite gameplay that doesn't just feature a combo that doesn't get interrupted. That really would be a lot more valuable. However, I know a lot of people like to sit and learn at least something to get them in the door of the deck, because that can be an awful daunting thing to just pick up from scratch. So consider this combo your entryway to Snake Eye Fire King, and then from there you can learn it. And again, I'm going to make more content on this deck because I do genuinely really love playing it. So I'm probably going to do another video, maybe even 2 on this deck in the nearest future. So stick around for that if you want to see even more combos and composite gameplay. But anyways, we're going to start off with the Snake Eye Ash combo in this. So we're going to go for Bonfire here. We have everything in our hand we have multiples of, so this isn't going to interrupt our combo. 2 Oak, by the way, goes hard. We'll talk about that later. But we're going to start with the Snake Eye Ash, right? Pretend everything else on our hand doesn't exist. It's not real. We're going to use the Ash. We're going to grab the Poplar from our deck. Of course, pretty standard stuff. The Poplar then is going to activate the special summon itself out to the field. We're going to use its effect. We're going to search our deck for the original Simple Spoils. And again, a lot of this comes down to extenders. If you've got like Diabellstar on hand or anything, you might want to grab the field spell instead and build off your advantage that way. But for now, just 1 card. So now we're going to go for, we're going to keep this in our back pocket basically. And a few of these players are going to be weird, but trust me, this is going to work out. So now we're going to go for Snake Eye Ash's effect. We're going to drop the Poplar. Going to summon out an Oak from our deck. Oak is a phenomenal card. In this version, more than most. Oak is a really good card. So now we're going to use Oak to bring back the Snake Eye Ash. Poplar is going to play itself into the back row, just so we can get as many cards on our field as we possibly can. Again, having Kirin in hand as well, being able to like play around Interruption is so good. So we bring back the Ash here. Perfect. Now we're going to use Oak's effect. We're going to send the Poplar to the grave, and we're going to grab Flamberge. And we're doing this very early, and there's a reason for this. So we're going to use now the Flamberge's effect to place any of our cards from the graveyard onto the Spell Trap card zone. Any of them at all. And now we're going to start essentially linking. So we're going to go into the Sunlight Wolf here. There's a lot of ways in which you can do this, but this is a combo that I want to show you. So we're going to go into Sunlight Wolf. Perfect, that'll trigger our Flamberge. We're going to summon out 2 level 1s from the graveyard. Summon 1 under the Sunlight Wolf. That'll trigger Sunlight Wolf here to essentially add the Flamberge back to our hand. Right. Now we're going to go into Linkuriboh using any of these guys. Whatever one you summoned under the Wolf, use to go into Linkuriboh here. We're going into Linkuriboh so we can use Linkuriboh and Sunlight Wolf to go into the Decode Talker Heat Soul. And this is a combo you can do if you want to draw extra cards. And I kind of like it. I think that this definitely plays a little bit better into many different forms of play. Heat Soul is going to draw us an extra card, which is nice. Drawing into Poplars, you know, it's fine. But the main thing now, we can use these two to go into Apo. So the Heat Soul is not necessary, right? I could definitely just have gone 3 monsters into Apollousa for a 2400 attack point Apollousa instead of a 16. But the entire point of Apollousa is it protects the Fire King portion of your combo from the likes of Nibiru, right? And with Heat Soul in the graveyard, by the end of our combo, we're going to be having Amblewill on the field. Spoilers. And Amblewill being able to bring back Heat Soul during your opponent's turn, giving you that additional draw power, especially into turn 3 then, means that you're going to be drawing a lot more cards. So I just find that advantage to be very beneficial, but you don't have to play it that way, of course. I'm floating ideas out. So now we're going to go for the original Sinful Spoils. We're going to send the Poplar that we played into the back row earlier. We're going to play the legendary Fire King Ponix. Now, Ponix then is going to get searching our deck for our Sanctuary. Sanctuary is an amazing card. We're going to activate the Sanctuary. Normally, Sanctuary would activate the Fire King field spell directly from your deck to the field, but because we've already got it in hand, that is not necessary. So I'm simply going to activate it from hand, pretend we got this off Sanctuary. Now we can use the Fire King Island to pop the Flamberge that we added to our hand earlier. So Flamberge, gonna pop it. We're going to add the Sacred Fire King Garunix from our deck to our hand. Now we are going to use the Linkuriboh's effect here. We're going to tribute off the Ponix. We need a Fire King engrave before we use the effect of Garunix. We do need a Fire King engrave. It's pretty important. So that resolves. We've got Garunix. Linkuriboh going to come back as well. We don't really care where we summon this. Garunix then is going to activate to pop the Arvata directly from our deck. Arvata then is going to activate to bring back the Ponix from our graveyard, which is nice. Nice, nice, nice. So now we get to use these 3 to go into our Promethean Princess, our Garunix, our Ponix, and our Linkuriboh. Perfect. Now we've got the Bestower of Flames. We use the Bestower of Flames, bring back basically anything. It really doesn't matter what. Let's say, sure, let's bring back the Arvata. I guess this also acts as a monster negate at this portion, but it's not really necessary. And then we're going to use these 2 here to go into the Amblewill. And that is the end board off of just Snake Eye Ash. We have the 2 monster negates of the Apollousa, and then some real, like, fuck shit happens during our opponent's turn, which gives us quite a lot of interruption. And I wish I could show it to you easier on a bot, but basically what would happen is if our opponent special summons a monster, right, we would activate our Promethean Princess to pop the monster and pop the Amblewill. Amblewill then, of course, when destroyed, will bring back the Heat Soul from the graveyard, but it will also trigger the summon of Sacred Fire King Garunix. Garunix then, when resummoned, can pop Kirin directly from the deck, which Kirin then will bring back the Fire King Arvata from your graveyard, as well as popping a card your opponent controls. And now that Arvata's on the field, it's an additional monster negate. So realistically, this is like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of interruption off of a 1-card combo? That's pretty good, and it's some pretty hard to play around interruption, and the amount of follow-up that it gives you as well, because we're also talking about a draw 1 with a recurring Heat Soul. We're talking about Promethean Princess being able to revive more cards. We're talking about Garunix coming back every turn. Like, it is a lot of interruption, and it's a lot of follow-up power and staying power to keep you in the game, which is something that not a lot of decks with these crazy 1-card combos have. A lot of them vomit their hand and their deck or whatever onto the field, but if their board gets outed, then they've got nothing, right? Think of Pendulum Magicians, right? Pendulum Magicians is great turn 1, board is insane, right? But then once you empty their board, unless they kept some of their extra deck resources in check, if their pen summon doesn't win them the game, they lose. right? This deck doesn't have that problem. We're coming back every turn. But I'm not going to ramble. Let's get into some actual replays and gameplay to see the deck in action. Alright, yes, he does actually play in our interruption here, okay. So, we get to display sort of what the deck wants to do here. We're going to go Promethean Princess. We're going to pump the Swarm Ship as well as the Black Dragon Sword. So, this is, again, none of these cards, we're going to pretend they don't exist. We're going to destroy his card. We're going to bring out the Promethean Princess. Alright. And then this is going to trigger a bunch of effects. It's going to trigger Garunix. And it's going to trigger the Ambler Wheel. And this is why we put the Heat Soul in our graveyard, so I can bring it back off of the Ambler Wheel. So you go right here. Oh, beautiful animation. Heat Soul's animation kind of goes hard, I'm not going to lie. I think that's underrated as hell. I'm gutted this guy doesn't have one. So then when the Garunix is summoned, Garunix will also chain Heat Soul just to show that we get an extra draw. Hell yeah. We draw into wanted. Hella follow-up. Nice. So then what you're going to pop from deck is the Kirin. Right? Kirin then when popped will activate Engrave to bring back the Arvata. As well as destroy a card. We get another pop out of this. So Promethean Princess goes from just being like a pop plus maybe bringing back Hita like it used to be in pure Snake Eyes. It now becomes 2 pops and a negate and a draw. So in this version of the combo, it pops 2, draws 1, and gives you a negate. That's insane. Off of just that one little card. And that's protected by double fucking Apollosa. The shit's insane, man. Like, it is insane. We're, you know, just to prove a point, we're going to go Arvata. Use its effect. And again, we have the Garunix, which serves as its pop. Garunix doesn't need to be on the field anymore. We get rid of that shit. And it comes back during the end of the next turn. And golden, right? Obviously this is a CPU, but it demonstrates the play, so you know sort of like what the vibe is when you're doing it yourself. Let's get into those replays. Alright, now we've got a basic idea as to how the deck works. Let's see how it handles some weird situations. We've got Keldo set 3 pass, so this should be an interesting one. I didn't really know what our opponent was playing, but we're going to just basically try to clear out as much of the back row as quickly as we can. Playing the Bellstar lets us grab our original Sinful Spoils. Using Poplar lets us grab our Temple. We play the Temple, and I actually play Ash into the back row. I don't know why I did that, but we did. We're going to send our Field Spell to summon out the Ponix. We're going to use the Ponix to grab the Sanctuary. We sent the Field Spell because we're about to play a new Field Spell anyway. The Fire King Island. Pop into Ponix to search our deck for Garunix. Garunix then going to special summon itself out to the field. Going to pop a copy of Kirin from the deck. Kirin then going to bring back the Ponix and pop a card. We hit Dogmatic Punishment. Hell of a pop from us. Going into Nightmare Phoenix, allowing us to target another one of the back row cards, dropping Maxi, because I don't think he's going to be summoning a bunch here, but we shall see. Poplar going to place itself into the back row as well. Morella being activated, some sort of Paleozoic nonsense. Milling Welcome Labyrinth. It is, in fact, a Labyrinth deck. Very interesting. Now we're going to go into SP Little Knight, another back row player. We're going to target the back row, trying to banish it. They're going to go for Trap Trick though, so that means we're now instead playing against 4 back row. We do chain block with the Little Knight here because he has the Morella Engrave. So the way Paleozoics work is they can special summon themselves back from the graveyard as monsters if you activate a trap card, but you chain it to the trap, if that makes sense, much like Lady Labyrinth. So if you activate an effect in the middle, you can stop them from resurrecting their Paleozoic monsters, essentially. So the SP Little Knight, luckily it did also pressure him into using the Keldo before it was optimal. So you know what, that was kind of a 2-for-1 for us. I really didn't want to banish my Little Knight, so that made my life an awful lot easier. I kind of figured he would do that anyways. So now they're going to go for the big Welcome Labyrinth. I'm going to move my cam of Coke so we can go into the Promethean Princess. Princess bringing back the Garunix, going into a link for Ambler Wheel. Now, into the battle phase, of course, just wanted to see if I could get him to use his card. They're going to go for Big Welcome Labyrinth now during the end phase, chaining the Morella as we expected them to. Morella going to come out to the field. Big Welcome Labyrinth going to play out the Ariane. Ariane then, of course, is going to trigger its effect to draw a card here. We're going to pop it and our Ambler Wheel in order to, just during the end phase, why not, really? We could have held off, but there was no real need to hold off. Popping that is going to hopefully stop him from setting up too much advantage during the next turn. We're going to get our Phoenix back. I'm lining up arrows so I can essentially use Zelantis during the next turn. They set 1, they pass back to us again. We did decimate their card advantage, so there is a very good chance they just don't have much. They're going to go Maxi. We're going to go Promethean Princess bringing back the Ambler Wheel. Duel then going to stop them from drawing cards. That's when they reveal Call by the Grave to negate our Duel. And you know what? That's totally fine by me, because if they're going to hit us with Call by the Grave, that means they don't have a trap card anymore. And playing against Lab with no traps, really not that scary. We're going to use the Fire King Island, popping the Kurakara, adding the Kira into our hand. That's going to trigger Guardian X in the graveyard, special summoning itself back to the field. And just like that, that is more than enough damage. And our opponent leaves. So there you go. If you're wondering how the deck deals with Backrow, that's how. We play directly into it. We have a bunch of ways of removing Backrow, which we abused in this match, right? We got like, what was that, 3 or 4 points of removal for Backrow? Awesome, right? And the Fire Kings do add a lot to that. The additional link material, the additional sort of boss monsters and everything. Being able to use resources to go into monsters that pop Backrow while not having to give up your entire combo for it, which is something that Snake Eyes couldn't really do before. They could maybe squeeze in a Phoenix if their hand was good, but that would be about the height of it. Whereas now they can play a lot more, and this match is evidence of that. Let's get into another match where I'm going to show you a game where thinking linearly in terms of a combo is actually a bad thing. Alright, getting into our next game here. So this is where we really have the option to decide whether or not we want to play smart or we want to play our rigid sort of combo, right? So Bonfire is a very useful tool, and if you utilize it alongside the strength of some of your other cards, such as Alchemics, then you can really get some fancy plays going. But if you're gonna blind one card tunnel vision your way into Ash, then shit like this is gonna happen. So we're gonna summon the Ash, Imperm. Right? That sucks. We have a lot of hand traps, so we do have the ability to, at the very least, not die. But what we could have done with that instead is we had gone for the likes of Poplar and summon the Poplar, then normally the Alchemix, pop the Poplar. We would have been able to generate so much advantage. Thinking too linearly can be a real problem. They're going to go for the Dark Worm, adding the Pendulum Magician to the hand. They're going to play the Pendulum Magician into the zone. They're going to activate, of course, their Star Pendulum Graph as well. They're going to pop the Supreme King Gate Magician. That's going to trigger their spell card. I'm going to Ash this because I don't want them to grab Double Iris Magician. Double Iris Magician is a total nightmare in combination with Electromite. They get so much gas out of it. With one card left in hand, I'm fairly confident that he doesn't have a way of negating Maxi, so I'm going to play the Maxi here. Draws in his Lightworm, of course, off of the Searching spell. Using Destrudo in the grave, they're going to bring it back, costing themselves half of their own life points. Playing Supreme King Dragon Lightworm, they're going to Pendulum summon out their Supreme King Gate Magician, grabbing Pendulum Evolution. Great card. Now they're going to Synchro Summon into Baron de Fleur. They're going to use the Bronze effect. They're going to pop a card to the field. We're going to activate the Imperm to target the Baron, just on the off chance he decides to negate it like an idiot. He doesn't, of course. So he now has total control over the field. They're going to swing in, taking out the Ash, 18 to the face as well. So they actually even out our life points exactly, even after paying half of their own. So this is rough, but we do have a 5-card hand. We draw into our second Courtier, which is part of why I actually don't really like playing this card at more than 1. I was playing it at 2. If you want to go back and watch our live stream, we started playing this at 2, then we dropped it to 1, and then towards the end of the stream, I think we bumped it back up. But this card I think is better as a 1-up. And I'm going to talk about the deck and the ratios in just a minute. But I just wanted to make that brief observation now, because this exact situation is why I think it's good as a 1-of, but not really more than 1. We get Impermed here. We do swing into the Dark Worm. We're going to take 1,000 damage to trigger its effect. We're going to summon it to Guardian X. Realistically, though, there's not really a ton of good that we can do here. Perhaps leaving Alchemix on the field might have been better, but ultimately, even if we had attempted to use its effect during our opponent's turn, they simply instead would have Baron negated the summon of the additional card. They really did not need to extend at all. They're going to pop the Guardian X and just like that into the battle phase and lethal. So sometimes you got to use your imagination, and that is a large part of, a large sort of thing that I am a huge advocate for. Avoid locking yourself into linear 1-card combos. Avoid only learning how to play a combo off of a starter, because you're going to find yourself in situations where if your starter gets negated, if your play gets stopped, then you're not going to have the knowledge and the imagination to come up with alternative solutions. That can only be done through practice and making sure you're paying attention to the right sort of resources online and watching the correct videos and looking at the correct guides of people who actually want you to be able to do more than just a 1-card combo. But anyways, let me bring up the deck list. We'll talk about some of the ratios and hopefully clear up a couple of questions. Alright, this is the list. So first and foremost, I am going to talk about sort of hand trap auxiliary cards just so that you can get a clear idea as to the list. We've got double Duel, we've got a Kurokara Counting Score, double Duel, triple Ash Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, we've got the Caught by the Grave, double of course, one Crossout Designator, and double Infinite Impermanence. That is a total of 13 non-engine cards I would recommend playing. I really like that lineup, but I'll talk more about that afterwards. For now, we're going to look at the deck itself. Starting off with the Snake Eye monster, we of course have the one Snake Eye Ash. This card requires no introduction. We are playing double Oak. I know a lot of people are still playing this card at 1. Back at launch of Snake Eyes, some people were playing this card at 2, myself included, and then we cut it down to 1 because it was a little bricky. But in this version of the deck, because we have all of the new Fire King stuff and the versatility, Snake Eye Oak is almost like a better normal summon than Snake Eye Ash in some situations. It doesn't die as hard to certain forms of interruption. There's a lot that this card can do. I'm really impressed. I think 2 Oak is perfect. It definitely came up a number of times on our live stream. By the way, if you want to see more live gameplay of this, we were playing this game on our live stream in the WCS qualifier, and I'm going to be playing this more live probably in the near-ish future. So subscribe, catch streams, and you'll get more information on that. Double Poplar is pretty standard stuff. I don't think anyone wants to doubt that. We are running triple Diabellstar. Some people do play this at 2. Some maniacs play it at 1. I think at least 2 is somewhat required for sure. A card's amazing. Gets you instant access to Sinful Spoils, which makes your Poplar so much stronger. We have 1 Flamberge. You do not need 2 Flamberge in this deck. There's already enough, not bad cards. There's not a ton of bad cards in this deck, but there's enough cards that you don't want to see in this deck already that the double Flamberge can be more of a problem than it is anything else. And to be honest, I have not once missed it. I have not a single time thought to myself, I wish I had another Flamberge right now. Because in all of the circumstances under which you would need a second Flamberge, there are other plays that you can make that are just as good, right? So I think the single Flamberge is more than sufficient. We have, of course, 1 Subversion, 1 Original Sinful Spoils. Triple Bonfires is basically just 3 copies of any of these dorks. This card's, of course, incredible, right? And it's incredible for multiple reasons. And I feel like with Bonfire, more often than anything else, I'm definitely grabbing Poplar. Not because it's better than Ash or anything, but because the way the Fire King variant works, I want to commit as much resources to my board and graveyard as possible before committing to my normal summon. I don't want to use my Bonfire search on a normal summon. You saw in the last replay how that works. I literally only searched Ash in that replay specifically to show that sometimes it's just a bad play, right? I'm almost always using this on Poplar because worst case scenario, I don't have like a normal summon, and then this card gets me basically exactly what Ash would have done anyways. So it's usually not that big a deal. 1 Sinful Spoils, of course. Some people play this at 2. You want to play it at 2, go nuts. Really good card. I can see you playing it at 2. 1 Field Spell. Some people are cutting the Field Spell, and I totally get it. It's not a fantastic card. It does offer basic plays in the Maxi, and it is essential for some of your combos, so I do think it is a necessary evil. You kind of have to play it. But I could definitely see people cutting this, for sure. And I did cut it briefly, and I played the deck without it, and I honestly, when I was playing the deck without it, I didn't miss it at all, not a single time. But after putting it back in and playing around, I can definitely see situations where this card is helpful, where I otherwise would have struggled. And lastly is the one of Seeker. You know what it's like, you know, gotta get as many D-stars in there as possible. This card is just incredible. It's a shame that it's limited to 1, but it do be like that, I guess. I guess 1 for 1, I'm gonna technically kind of count as a staple card. You don't have to play this. You don't have to play 1 for 1, but it's a great card. And the Fire King cards, 1 Ponix, 1 Alkanix, and 1 of the Fire King High Avatar Garyanix. I definitely think Alkanix and Garyanix is a really good add to the deck. It gives you a ton of versatility. I don't think I will play more than 1 Alkanix. I was playing it at 2 for quite a while, even at 3 initially. But I think 1 is fine, because it's a little bit, you don't really want to see it in hand. It's a fantastic pop for a deck, and it's not the worst card to see in hand. It's actually pretty good. But there's a lot of situations in which if you draw like just it or it and something that you don't want to pop, or it and a normal summon, it does feel a little bad sometimes. So having it at 1 I think is fine, because on the rare occasions where you actually do manage to draw it, it's usually quite good. So I think 1 is fine. And the 1 Guardian-X, this card is again, this card's actually incredible. I think a lot of people sleep on this card. Just coming back, nuking the board every single standby phase, the fact that if it's destroyed by battle, you get to special summon another Fire King from deck. It's really good. It's just part of the deck's endless recursion loop. We've got the 1 Secret Fire King Guardian-X. So this card, again, just like it's the OG cousin, this card comes back every single turn. There's no reason to play more than 1 unless you're afraid of the likes of Backrow or Called By, which are valid concerns. If you're really afraid of those cards, play out more than 1. This card's fucking incredible. So yeah, when this card gets banished, it fucking sucks to have this card banished. You really want to have this in rotation. So if you want to play a second copy of this just to get around that, hell fucking yeah, go for it. Basically, it comes back every single turn. Whenever it's summoned, you get to pop a fire monster in your hand, deck, or field, and it gains attack points equal to half of their attack points, which makes them pretty damn big a lot of the time. But it also means, more importantly, that you're able to trigger off the effects of the Fire Kings directly from your deck. The 1 Fire King Island and 1 Fire King Sanctuary. This card gets you your Fire King Island and is searchable off of your opponents, as well as enabling a quick play Exceed summon into the big bad Guardian-X Eternity. We did not actually use this card to any great effect during our entire live stream. You don't use this very often, but it's fucking cool as hell, man. This card's cool as fucking hell. And that's the main deck. And from there, you can plug the deck in with whatever you want. Like I said, we were playing double Duel, triple Maxi, triple Ash, double Called By, the 1 Crossout, double Imperm, and our 1/1, which is somewhere in this mess of cards. I'm sure you get, there it is, 1/1. So this is my deck of 41. 41's bad juju. I don't like this number. So if you wanted to cut a card or put another card in, by all means. Or you could change the hand trap lineup. I think, again, Imperm is solid enough. I think it's a little bit better than Veiler because it's better going second. But if you wanted to play more monsters for 1/1 targets, I get that as well. Duel, I think, is a pretty strong card right now. It's much more high impact than many other hand traps. I could definitely see you not playing Duel, though. A lot of people, I think, aren't going to be a fan of this because it's not as powerful as it used to be, and the decks it used to counter, of course. But it's pretty good in a lot of shit right now, and it's one of those cards that when you play it, you kind of like end someone's turn, right? And I think we need a lot of that in this format to play going second, because realistically, there's a lot of decks that if they set their shit up, you're just not going to be able to play the game. So Droll being able to shut down an entire turn rather than stop an interaction, I think is much more valuable than a 1/1 trade. Of course, sometimes it's dead though, so that's the counter argument there. Triple Ash, Maxi, basically any card that counters Maxi is necessary, plus Maxi itself, of course, and Imperm is our other choice. So whatever you want in those auxiliary slots, you go nuts, you play whatever the hell, you know, suits your fancy. You want to drop Droll and triple up an Imperm? Fucking have at it, Chief, you do you. I wanted some extra monsters in there, but that's just me. That's my list. For the extra deck, sorry, we're looking at pretty standard stuff. We got Guardian-X Eternity, Link Karibo, Doolittle Chimera. I have literally yet to summon this card. A lot of people are playing it in their list, and I get why. It's a Fire Beast Link 2. For sure, I get it, but I have literally never summoned this card. Phoenix is a dope-ass card. Sunlight Wolf is necessary for our Heat Soul combo. We are, of course, playing Heat Soul. We got Hita, we got IP, we got SP, we got double Promethean Princess, including the Royal, 30% stronger, at least, proven, scientifically. Ambler Whale, Apollosa, Bow of the Goddess, World Sea Dragon Zealanthus, and the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix. And yeah, I think the extra deck's pretty much spot on. I don't really think there are any changes that I would make. You may want to fit Dark Charmer, the Dark Charmer in here, maybe. If you want to cut, I don't know, do a little Chimera. This is probably necessary for some like combo line that I'm unaware of, but this card has literally never come up. Never have I thought to myself that I wanted to summon this. If there's like a particular combo line that this card is absolutely mandatory for, let me know in the comments or hop into the Discord and tell me there. But there hasn't been a single combo line where it would have come up in a situation and enabled to play that I couldn't just do with another card. But that's that's the video. If you got this far, make sure you like and subscribe for more stuff coming out. Pay attention to our live streams as well. We're definitely live streaming a lot more than we're posting videos at this rate because I'm testing out so much shit with videos. What's this video gonna look like? I don't know yet. But if you liked it, let me know. If you think there was stuff that could have been improved upon, let me know as well. If you've got any questions or comments, Discord is there for a reason. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. See you next time. Bye-bye.